Jeepers Creepers Reborn 2022 Movie Explained. For every Jeepers Creepers fan out there, Reborn has to be the most anticipated movie of the year. After all, the fourth entry in the Jeepers Creepers film franchise was strategically intended to be the first film of an entirely new trilogy. Directed by Timo Valenzuela and written by Sean Michael Argo, Jeepers Creepers Reborn technically serves as a reboot for the series, which in no way is related to Victor Salva or his original trilogy for that matter.
Local legend, right?
The Creeper comes back every 23 years.
Then what?
From an entirely new creative team, storyline, new cast to a new Creeper, here's us exploring the 2022 movie for you. Also, stay tuned till the end of the video to know more about our honest review. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
I saw it.
Death Gives It Life, Jeepers Creepers Reborn 2022. The movie opens with an elderly couple, Ronald and Marie, leisurely driving down a long country stretch when Ronald notices a rust-colored truck behind them that has this all-too-familiar license plate, Beat and Goo, written on it. At first, he is amused by it, but with the truck coming a little too close to their car and constantly honking at them, the couple gets intimidated by the driver, and Ronald signals the driver to go around. The driver does and drives away rashly. With the couple continuing to drive at their own pace, they come across the same truck now parked and witness the driver throwing what looks like a dead body wrapped in a sheet down a chute next to an abandoned church. They are shocked beyond, and Marie tells her husband that they weren't supposed to see that. Ronald is seen pressing on the accelerator to drive away his car from the area as fast as he can, only to be pursued by the same truck and its menacing driver. It is an intense car chasing scene which has the Creeper running the elderly couple's car off the road. Ronald decides to report the matter to the police despite Marie telling him that she doesn't like it one bit, and they decide to head over to a gas station where they will get access to a phone. With them turning their car around, they witness the Creeper changing the license plate of his truck. Nonetheless, they steer towards the opposite direction. While driving, Ronald manages to convince his wife that they should go back to the chute and see things before telling the cops about it. Marie agrees and they head back to probe deeper into the matter. A blood-stained piece of cloth is seen hanging on the side of the chute with them taking a peek inside. The couple is seen peering down the chute in complete horror. Now this is precisely where one actually wishes that the story is continued, but the whole sequence is soon disclosed to be some kind of a story in the fictional macabre mysteries and someone is actually watching it. We finally get a peek into our leading characters, young couple Chase and Lane, who are headed to the Horror Hound Festival in Louisiana. Lane has literally been dragged by her horror fanboy boyfriend into coming along with him to the carnival. They're seen driving through what appears to be the same country road depicted earlier and discussing about the elderly couple's story, which cut to the present has become some sort of an urban legend. While Lane is a scientist who believes in facts, Chase is seen going back and forth about the existence of the Creeper and stating to his girlfriend that the Creeper comes back every 23rd spring and kills for 23 straight days and then disappears. All of a sudden, Lane is abruptly seen stopping the car, getting out of it, and puking in front of a tree at a distance, oblivious to the fact that there is a shuriken stuck on the trunk of the tree. And out of nowhere, a white raven is seen landing on the tree branch and looking at Lane. As for Chase, we learned that his big plans of proposing to Lane later that night and giving us viewers a good look at the ring that he got for her. The very next scene has us viewers getting the first proper glimpse of the Creeper crawling out of a dilapidated farmhouse. In all probability, he seems to have just awakened from his slumber and is seen to consume a handful of soil that has worms in it, post which the clawed hood structure behind his head gets flared out. Next, he is seen grabbing the attire of a scarecrow. It is also during the same time when we learn that Lane is pregnant with Chase's baby and that she hasn't had a chance to tell him yet. Anyway, the Creeper begins his killing spree and the first victim happens to be Sam, whom Lane was earlier on the phone with. Coming back to Lane and Chase, the couple is seen stopping by a voodoo shop to ask for directions. From daggers to various sharp-looking objects, they find the strangest of artifacts there. Soon they chance upon Lady Manila, the owner of the shop, and with Lane asking her for the address of the festival, she hands her a map. Lane accidentally touches the lady while grabbing the map and experiences some kind of a strange vision, but does not tell Chase anything about it. Lady Manila charges the couple for the map, calling it antique. As the couple leaves the store, she congratulates them and realizes that Lane hasn't yet told Chase about the baby. The lady is further seen calling a certain someone and informing them that they have a tree bearing fruit, after which she is seen rubbing the belly of what looks like a voodoo doll. As for Chase and Lane, they are seen checking into a hotel and trying out multiple cosplay costumes. Lane experiences another brief but disturbing vision while taking a pregnancy test, and she lets out a scream when a black raven suddenly ends up knocking itself out after colliding with a bathroom window. Chase assures her that it is just a bird and tells her to get ready for the festival. The Creeper, on the other hand, is seen taking off the cover that hid his truck, all this while in taking a good look at his weapons, mainly his medieval battle axe and hook. Chase and Lane finally arrive at the Horror Hound Festival, a fair filled with the craziest of fans dressed up in their favorite costumes. Bizarre attractions like demonic disc jockeys, terrifying-looking clowns, fire jugglers, sword swallowers, and every possible thing associated with horror. No wonder this has Chase absolutely thrilled, and he even addresses the carnival as the Coachella of cosplay to Lane. There comes a moment when an unknown man screaming hysterically comes into view. He seems to have been hit by some kind of an arrow in his chest and falls dead on a table, only to wake up after a while and drop off his horror act. The man is applauded by everyone at the fair, and he is seen going into the remote forest land behind the fair all by himself for a smoke, only to get attacked, this time for real, by the Creeper. The raging beast places the man on the hook and throws his daggers at him, killing him post, which he is seen heading towards the fair. As for Chase and Lane, the latter is observed at the fair by this hooded figure from at a distance, and in all possibility by the Creeper himself. They come across Chase's favorite carnival game, Sharp Attack, that requires the players to throw shurikens at the target. Lane picks up a shuriken and states that she has never seen anything like this before. One of the locals, Stu, tells her that all of them are unique. Each of the shurikens are Creeper styled and handmade, with him further asking the duo if they've heard of the Creeper. An excited Chase asks him about the local legend of the Creeper. Stu tells Lane to give it a try with the shurikens. Lane is initially hesitant, but with Stu guiding her, she scores a bullseye. Stu also tells them to definitely check out the highlight of the festival, which happens to be a Creeper draw. This is when Lane inadvertently cuts herself with a shuriken and experiences another unexplained vision, where she finds herself undressed and surrounded by a group of men wearing hoods. In her vision, she also has a red circle along with a dot marked on her forehead with blood, and she is seen standing still. Chase takes her away, and Stu is seen picking up the shuriken from the ground and putting back the closed sign. The same shuriken is picked up by the Creeper and thrown at the target, which has Lane looking back, but she does not find anyone at the game stall. The audience gets to see the shuriken right on the target, its end dripping blood. The festival organizers are finally seen gearing themselves up for the Creeper draw, and Carrie is given the sole charge of taking things ahead. Surprisingly, Lady Manila is also seen there assembling the chits of the participants. Carrie announces to the ecstatic crowd that the time has finally come for their Creeper draw. The grand prize happens to be one night at a Creeper-themed escape room for two at the old Barnabette house. Lady Manila is called upon the stage to draw out the winner, which no points for guessing turns out to be Lane. Chase is literally on cloud 9 after the announcement, and he is called backstage along with Lane. There, they meet Jamie, who introduces himself as the producer of the show and tells the duo that he and his team will be tagging along with them to the house to film the whole thing as part of the deal with the Horror Hound Festival. While Stu is seen taking them to the house in a van, the Creeper is seen driving his truck and crashing into some kind of a security fence. Next, he is seen hand-picking his weapon and heading inside the area. Meanwhile, in the van, Carrie sees a clip of a figure in the backwoods that the cameraman Michael had captured and asks him who that is. The latter states to her that the figure does look like the Creeper, but dismisses it later, stating that it is probably someone in cosplay. Stu stops the van outside the Barnabette family cemetery and addresses the place as the final resting place for souls back in the 1700s. It further states how the natives believed that the place was both sacred and haunted. Jamie cuts him short and asks him why they are in a cemetery when they should be inside the haunted house. Stu informs him that they will be walking from there to the house. With Jamie asking Michael to get the shot of the cemetery, the latter tells him that for some unexplained reason, the camera is not working. Of course, Jamie is furious to hear that. Lane, on the other hand, has had enough of Chase giving attention to Carrie and simply storms out from there only to be followed after by her boyfriend. Speaking of the creeper, he is seen standing on some kind of a hilltop. He is in his signature black duster coat, ragged trousers, and a tattered cowboy hat. The latter we still have our doubts on. The audience gets to see his razor-sharp teeth and is seen smelling as well as setting his eyes on his future victims via some kind of an infrared vision. In his case, the duo of Chase and Lane. Chase, who has followed Lane after she walked away, catches up to her and asks her if something is wrong. Lane questions him the same, further stating Carrie as a blonde bimbo. Michael, on the other hand, follows a hooded figure inside the cemetery, asking if the latter's from the festival and asks for a phone. We, along with Michael, get a quick glance at the figure, who turns out to be the one to have announced the creeper draw, along with Carrie. As she is seen disappearing inside a mysterious door in the cemetery, Michael is startled to find a white raven behind him looking and cawing at him. As he calms down himself, the creeper attacks him from behind. Michael is heard screaming and his blood is seen dripping on his very video camera. Coming back to the duo of Lane and Chase, the latter realizes that his girlfriend is venting out to him only because she is jealous. Chase decides that the time is perfect for him to propose to Lane, but before he can do that, the creeper grabs Lane and flies away with her. As for the trio of Stu, Jamie, and Carrie, they are seen venturing inside the cemetery looking for the others when Stu discovers the bloodied video camera of Michael. Carrie is freaked out by the blood and suggests a big animal must have gotten to him. They are seen discussing when a panic-stricken Chase comes running towards them, screaming at the top of his lungs. He barely manages to tell the trio that something big has taken away Lane and tells them to call the cops right away. Chase attempts to run towards the Barnabas mansion only to trip over Michael's bloodied corpse lying on the ground. With Jamie inspecting the wound, he realizes that it is fresh and whatever attacked Michael is still out there. Freaked out on different levels, the group runs towards the manor to take shelter inside. We finally get a glimpse of Lane lying tied up on some kind of a red sacrificial surface. With her gaining consciousness, she finds the creeper in front of her. The creature is seen to pierce his dagger in her stomach, and Lane lets out a blood-curdling scream. As for the remaining members of the group, they finally get access inside the house only to find themselves get locked inside. We get a glimpse of a trio of people outside the house who appear to be some part of a cult that not only believes in the creeper and worships him, but also wants him reborn for some reason. Lady Manila happens to be a part of that cult along with a hooded lady Michael was previously following before he met his gruesome death. There is also a man in a white blazer along with women who the audience had caught a brief glimpse of at the Horror Hound Festival before. Inside the house, things start to get heated up. Everybody is seen blaming Stu for their current situation. Jamie tells him to stop whatever game he is playing and to open the door right away. Carrie tells Stu that she did not sign up for any of this, and as for Chase, he demands to know where Lane is. Stu attempts to calm everyone down and tells them that he was not even supposed to be here in the first place. He tells the trio that he was only hired to scare them up a bit. With Carrie asking Stu who hired him, the latter tells them about Lady Manila and that as per her, there is some kind of a surprise inside the house waiting for the group. With Chase and Jamie cornering Stu, he takes out his gun and tells them to step back. Chase takes another step forward and Stu is forced to fire a shot above. The gunshot catches the attention of the creeper and he is seen pulling out the dagger from Lane's stomach and heading towards the house for the group. The audience gets to see a swarm of white ravens cawing and circling above the Barnabas house. Back inside the house, Carrie is seen stating to the group that the house is only an escape room and that they should be able to get out. This is when Chase tells them that the house is a trap, and the trapper happens to be none other than the creeper himself. Stu dismisses his qualms, telling him that the creeper is just a fairy tale. Chase tells the group that the creeper is very much real and that it took Lane and he will find his girlfriend at all costs. After an argument ensues between Jamie and Stu, Chase tells them that they will have to work together as a team now or else they will never be able to get out of the house alive. A loud thud is heard at the door and it becomes very clear that a certain someone is trying to get inside the house. The group hurriedly makes it upstairs into the attic and discovers another bloodied cadaver beyond recognition hanging from above. However, Chase is able to identify the deceased as Sam. This is precisely when the creeper crashes through the attic window and comes face to face with the group for the first time. With Stu pointing his gun at the creeper, the latter signals him not to do so, but Stu shoots at him repeatedly, rendering his left hand useless. The creeper is seen throwing his battle axe at the attic door and preventing them from escaping. He is also seen making a distinct whistling sound that gives the whole group a splitting headache. While the trio of Stu, Jamie, and Carrie attempt to open the door, Chase charges towards the creeper and starts hitting him. After the rest successfully manages to open the door, they escape from the room, taking Chase along with them. The creeper realizes that his left hand isn't working anymore, so he simply rips off his hand and goes over to where Sam's body is hanging. He tears apart his dead victim's hand instead, devours it, and voila, the creeper has a new, functioning hand again. Speaking of Lane, she is finally able to free herself from the ropes that were keeping her down, resorting to the very dagger that was used on her by the creeper. She is seen taking a few of the shurikens that were lying on the table before escaping from the room through a vent. Carrie, on the other hand, has got separated from the team and lands up inside another room to hide herself from the creeper. She barely manages to escape from the creeper when the latter ends up attacking her. As Carrie is seen reuniting with the trio, the sadistic creature is seen playing music on a gramophone inside the house. It is also around the same time that Lane finds her way back to Chase and the group. With her stating to the group that it is she who the creeper wants, they all decide to stick together. Coming across a phone in a room, Jamie hurries towards it only to have his foot get caught up in a bear trap. Chase is only able to make an emergency call and state their location when the creeper snatches away the telephone cord from him. With the group trying to escape the house, they realize even if they go outside, they are sitting ducks out there and that they can't really rely completely on the telephone call. Lane tells them that the only way to end the whole thing is by killing the creeper. She further states to the group that she has seen the creeper up close. It is old, it stinks of death, and that it needs to get trapped. The creeper attacks the group again, this time breaking through a door and waving at Carrie. It becomes pretty clear who his next target is, and with Carrie trying to escape along with the rest of the group, the creeper throws his battle axe, which lands straight on the head of Carrie, killing her instantly. Her body is dragged away by the creeper, and as for the rest of the group, they secure themselves inside a room that's more like a voodoo altar. Lane experiences another vision, this one more like a continuation of her last vision. Here she is clothed, has the same circle and dot on her forehead. She is surrounded by cloaked figures and is seen coming face to face with a creeper. Cut to the present, the creeper is back for the group and is seen making another whistling sound that has the whole group writhing in pain before disappearing again. The creeper is next seen dragging the dead body of Carrie, pulling out her hair and devouring her brain. As for Lane, she comes across a voodoo doll, one that symbolizes victim Derry Jenner from the first movie. While the group is not able to connect things, they find a bowl of blood overflowing. Following the course of the flowing blood, they lift up a heavy stone only to make another shocking discovery, how the creeper has been feeding all this while. It is then that Lane confesses to Chase, telling him that she is pregnant, and the reason that the creeper is after her is because he wants her baby. She further tells him that she will marry him if they manage to get out of the place alive. The group comes across several writings and drawings on the wall, and it becomes clear to them that what they have been regarding as stories all this while is very much real. They also discover newspaper clippings of several missing people who had actually gone missing. This includes a cutout of Ronald and Marie's. Chase tells the group that they have got to come up with a plan. Lane, looking at the dagger that she had brought along with her while escaping, tells them that she knows what needs to be done. The group is seen arming themselves with whatever weapon they find in the room and starts looking for the creeper. Stu and Jamie head upstairs and Lane tells Chase to hide under the stairs. The creeper is seen ambushing the duo upstairs and killing an already wounded Jamie immediately. He engages in a fight with Stu, only to have the latter incapacitate him for a while and break his gramophone. This makes the creeper mad with rage, and he limps his way downstairs to find Lane waiting for him. With Lane moving back, the creeper continues to move towards her. Stu and Chase, on the other hand, sneak back upstairs unbeknownst to the creeper. Lane stops right outside of the house, kneels down, and places the dagger in front of her. Next, she discloses the wound on her stomach and surrenders herself to the creeper, who picks the dagger and lifts up Lane. As for Stu and Chase, they are seen reaching the topmost part of the mansion. With the creeper attempting to plunge through the dagger for the baby, Lane screams at him and tells him that he can't have it before attacking him with both the shurikens. This results in the clawed hood structure behind his head to get flared out. Next, Lane aims for the creeper's eyes and blinds him with his very shurikens. The creature is furious and starts moving ahead aimlessly, trying to grab Lane. With him reaching the target point, Chase and Stu are seen throwing the pole that they had loosened from above. It pierces right through the creeper's mouth and hits the very ground. All of a sudden, a swarm of ravens end up appearing and they start attacking the trio. Stu, while defending himself, loses balance and falls to his death. Chase is able to help Lane get back into the mansion to safety. As for the ravaging birds, they are seen disappearing with the body of the creeper. Reborn ends with police arriving. Lane is seen taking a final glance at the mansion, only to have her eyes turn black all of a sudden, and somewhere not too far away, the creeper is seen to be reborn. Our marvelous verdict. As an ardent fan of the Jeepers Creepers film franchise, let us make peace with our mind that this movie just does not exist. If you thought Jeepers Creepers 3 was a letdown and the franchise was not capable of sinking any lower, we'd like to stop you right there. Believe us when we tell you that Reborn actually makes the third movie look good when compared. We bet Timo Valenzuela has a thing for the color green because there's a green screen everywhere. You can't possibly have a green screen while opening a car door, can you? Well, surprise, this movie shows how it's done. We don't even want to start talking about the creeper because whoever that is in the movie is definitely not the creeper that the first two movies have us acquainted with. Honestly, since when does the creeper set bear traps for his victims? Aren't the kills supposed to be the high points of a creeper movie? Sadly, not this one here. The future of the new trilogy does not look bright at all. If we could give a negative rating to Reborn, we would gladly do so. And with this, we have come to the very end of our video here. Do hit us with your thoughts on Reborn in the comments section, and stay tuned with us for more interesting content on the Jeepers Creepers franchise.